Well guys, that's me out again on the Big Loch. I quite enjoyed my last wee stint here, cold as it was. So here I am again about 2 weeks later. It's always tempting to keep going back to my wee local river, but you can get too much of a good thing. And I'm staying off it for a few weeks, both to give me the jolt I need to go other places and clear the way for some of the other club members to have a go. I don't want to hog it. So anyway, the last time I was out I was talking about maybe buying another 9-foot 5 weight rod with a slightly more moderate action just for this style of fishing. Thinking about it again, I remember I had a 9-foot 5 weight Nielsen Powerflex stored away somewhere that I hadn't used for years. This was once my go-to rod, and in fact it was the rod I used on the first trip to New Zealand where it proved its worth. Anyway, I raked it out and here it is. We'll see how we go on with it. These rods have an odd history. They were never super expensive, probably around about the £200 mark. But it was a load of them appeared for sale on eBay at around £25 each from a company called Tackle Bargains. So it had to be worth a punt. I bought a few of them to try out. Perhaps were factory seconds or bankrupt stock or something. I don't know. I couldn't see anything wrong with them anyway. And as I said, I used them for years with no complaints. Right, today I'm starting off with a team of 2 wet flies. The setup is as follows. A 5 weight Max Catch Gold floating line with an ungreased 5-foot thread furled leader to act as a sink dip. The leader is just 8 or 9 feet of 4-pound Maxima Ultra Green, with one dropper about halfway up. After years of trying all sorts, I still can't beat simple Maxima for pulling wet flies on lochs. It has give and shock resistance you just don't find in some of the fancier, super fine leader materials I use on rivers or for dry fly fishing on lochs. The flies are the good old Dunkeld and a pearly black panel. The scruffier and slimmer the better. The Dunkeld is hard to beat on these lochs. Gold and orange flies really work, although a silver Invicta is probably just as good. Right, let's have a few casts. Right, we'll start here. As I've said in the past, it doesn't really matter where you fish on this loch. Some bits are maybe slightly better than others, but anywhere along the bank's fine. Either bank. So the wind's dropped a wee touch. It's actually feeling quite warm. Had a few spits and spots of rain there when I was rigging up, but it hasn't come to much yet. It hasn't come to anything yet. No sign of any fish moving. So we'll see how it goes with this Nielsen rod. I haven't fished with it for heaven knows how long, years and years. But it feels okay. It's probably slightly faster action than I remember it to be. I thought that was thunder there. It's an aircraft. It sounds almost like a sonic boom. I can't see it. It's up above the clouds. What a noise! Oh, I had a touch there and I missed it. A wee follow. That aircraft moved away. Thank goodness, it was getting a bit painful on the ears. Whoa, there we go. Surface take. Feisty wee trout. Oh, I can hear a cuckoo. Cuckooing on the other side there somewhere. That's a good fight for a wee fish. On the trusty old Dunkeld. Touch thin, but decent enough trout. Yeah, pleased with that. Back you go. Right, let's see if we can get another one. You don't have to cast far here. The fish rise all over the loch, right from the edge right into the middle. But of course, it's always tempting to try to cast further and further, but it isn't really necessary. Probably the most productive way to fish off the bank here is take a few casts, a step, a few casts, a step, maybe fan the casts out a bit, cover as much water as you can. But no sign of any fish rising at all. I'm actually feeling a bit warm here. Put this waterproof on because it looked like it might rain. And it's kind of acting a bit like a mini greenhouse. I have a feeling if I take it off, it'll be too cold though. Yeah, it's funny how that Dunkeld works well on these lochs. It's that combination of gold and orange and brown. It just works everywhere. Heaven knows what the fish take it as. It looks like I've got this whole loch to myself again. No other cars at all, hardly even any tourists around. Yeah, the cuckoos are in fine voice. I don't know if you can hear that, it's quite faint. Putting the fear of death in all the meadow pipits in the area. Oh, there's another fish. Another surface steak. God, they are feisty wee things, aren't they? A really golden fish, this one. Just a wee thing. And a fish just rose out there. It's up for a golden trout. And the Dunkeld again. And back you go. Well, that's two fish quite quickly. Not sure if that's a good sign or not, but at least it's two fish in the bag. Often when you start hitting fish straight away, then it just dies a death and that's it for the day. Don't know why that is, but it's not uncommon. But anyway, to hammer a well-worn cliche, it's nice just to be here. I mean, look at it. It's absolutely stunning. That light. the billowing cloud in the white. It's just wonderful. Both of these fish have been fairly close in, within, I don't know, 20, 30 feet of the bank. Actually, some of the best fishing can be in the summer here, especially in August when the heather fly comes out. You get some really good dry fly fishing. I don't know if it's coming across on the audio, but I'm feeling a bit hoarse today. So I hope you can understand what I'm saying. Got a frog in my throat. I was checking the maps yesterday, the surrounding area here. And this glen that the loch's now in didn't have a loch at all, so it's just a wee burn come down. And the name of the glen was Glen Damf, D-A-M-F-F, which means apparently the Stag Valley, or the Valley of the Stags. But that's one thing I never see here, is red deer. But I would guess if you went a bit further up the glen you would see them. Which is quite remarkable, really. If you consider how many red deer there are in Scotland, the bloody things are everywhere. I can't ever recall having seen any here. Oh, just missed another. And it came twice. Missed it twice and then it came again, rather. God, they're active. And that's the Dunkeld again. It's another nice fish. They would be good breakfast size if you ate fish. Well, I do eat fish, but I don't eat trout. I think they're absolutely tasteless. I'm sure many of you will disagree, but I've never been crazy about trout. They're fine smoked, but I'm not crazy about them. So that's Dunkeld 3, Pearly Black Pennel 0. If you're new to this kind of fishing and you fancy doing a bit of wet fly fishing on lochs, get yourself some Dunkelds. There's a variant that's got jungle cock cheeks on it, which is even better if you can find them. I would say these conditions are just absolutely perfect for this style of fishing. Enough, just enough wind to create a decent ripple to hide your ill intent from the fish, but not enough wind to make casting a hassle. Yeah, I was talking about Glen Damf there, the glen or the Valley of the Stags. I've never seen red deer here, but I've seen a heck of a lot of other wildlife. Ospreys, golden eagles, buzzards, various types of falcons and hawks, black-throat divers. There was even a great grey shrike overwinters here. It has done for the past 2 or 3 years. It comes to Scandinavia. It's quite a striking wee bird. So the verdict on the old Nielsen Powerflex, 25 quid off of eBay. It's fine. It certainly catches fish. It's probably not as good as I remember it was. But heavens, it's a decent enough rod and it certainly catches fish, as has been demonstrated. Oh, that was another wee touch there. felt that. I wonder if it'll come back. It's really shallow water as well. It's beginning to get quite calm now. It's amazing how the conditions change during the day. It was blowing a hoolie when I arrived. Yeah, there's more of a ripple across on the other side, but I'm pretty sure if I move over there, then there'll be more of a ripple on this side. Right, I'm going to move down the bank a bit. Seems to be more of a ripple across this way. So I was fishing there, pretty much calm water, which is not ideal for pulling wet flies. Seems a bit more ripply along here. The water level in the loch is pretty high, and it has been for the last couple of years. In years of severe drought, it can get very low. I've seen them actually closing the fishing way back. But the general consensus is that fish is better when it's a bit lower. I've certainly found that. You come down here and all this area of water here, it's just rock, deeply shelving rock. But when it's like that, the fish seem to be much closer in. That's the impression I got anyway. And other anglers I've spoken to reckon the same, that the lower the water is, the better it fishes. Try off this point here. Right, see if we can get down without falling in. My goodness me, it's deep here. We don't want to fall in there. You certainly won't be wading there, that's for sure. Cuckoo's giving it lolly over there. Well, it's gone all quiet. It's funny that these fish in these lochs just switch on, and I said that the last time I was out. We got a wee spurt of furious activity and then nothing. And then another burst of activity and then nothing. And every loch seems to be the same. All the wild trout lochs anyway. I'm not sure about the stock lochs. I tend not to bother with those. It's absolutely dead. I know it sounds a bit counterintuitive. There's nothing moving on the whole loch. But sometimes when the conditions are like this, tying on a huge leggy dry fly and just letting it drift around can bring up some fish. And often some pretty good fish. But yeah, you've got to concentrate, because what tends to happen with me is nothing's happening, I'm floating the big dry fly around, and then I'll get a take and I'll miss it because I'm not paying attention. Whoops, that was an awful lot. Cast over it again. God, I hope you can understand what I'm saying, because I can feel myself getting more hoarse by the moment. The big daddy longlegs just flew past. I would have thought it was still a bit early in the year for those, but what do I know? Oh, here we go. That one took quite deep. It might be a slightly better one. Oh, and it's gone. Yeah, that was a huge fish. Looked like quite a dark coloured fish, but anyway, it's gone. That's barbless hooks for you. Well, it's either there's someone driving down the road on the other side tooting their horn, or we've got a road runner to add to the list of wildlife. Oh! It's another deep take. Oh, and it's in the pearly black panel this time by the look of it. Oh, it's just a wee one. Quite a dark fish, dead thin. Anyway, that's another one. And away it goes. That's a fish just rose there. Of course, it could be anywhere now. Right, I'm going to pause and have some lunch, nip up to the car, have some lunch, get a drink and see if I can clear this wash this frog out of my throat. And once I've had the lunch, I will come back down, give it another half an hour or so, and probably call it a day after that. Right, so I will see you later. I know I keep droning on about how lovely this area is, but it's where I spent my early hill walking years back in the 1970s, and I love it. The hills you can see in the distance are the Mare and the Dreesh, two of the most easterly Munros. A Munro, for those who don't know, is a Scottish hill of 3,000 feet or higher. What makes one 3,000 footer a Munro and the next not is anyone's guess, but it gives folks something to argue about when they're trapped by bad weather and some miserable bothy for days on end. Seriously, it is a fine hobby. I used to collect them and I've climbed most, but I'm far too smart to do that these days. Being almost 70 now is another important factor. It's an interesting area. A few hundred years ago it was right on the boundary of the Gaelic-speaking Highlands and the English-Scots-speaking Lowlands. As a result, many of the place names are a curious mixture, some making little sense. Just 20 miles or so west of here, the names are mainly Gaelic. I'll stick up a few map clips and you will be able to see some of the speculative names for yourselves. Some of them are wonderful. Burn of Slitheries, Many Wee, Meg Sweery, Potty Ledner, Bahwelps. That's just a small sample. What that means anyone's guess, but you really need an active resident population to keep these things alive. And these glens have been empty for so long now. Right, that was a fine lunch. I'm still hoarse though, it hasn't helped with that. So I'll have a wee while in here and probably just call it a day after that. A couple hours of this type of fishing in one spell's enough for me. Seen the day when I was younger, I used to fish dawn to dusk. Now I just like having a couple hours doing my thing and then going and doing something else. The wind's got up a wee bit more, which is actually probably better. Get a wee wave or a strong ripple, that only helps. Goodness me, I'm croaking here. Oh, there we go. Again, that was quite deep. And it's the pearly black pearl this time. Just a wee one. Just a wee one, but isn't that beautiful? Golden green. Lovely. Right, let's see if we can get one more. Oh, almost had one more there. That was a vicious tug. I don't think it will come back. Yeah, that breeze is fair getting up now. But at least it's warm. Warm enough that I was able to take the waterproof jacket off at lunchtime and not put it back on again. But with the look of these dark clouds, I could well pay for that decision. It's only water. I'm seeing the occasional fish rise way out in the loch, but it would make like 10 times casting distance. And occasionally you'll see a really big fish launch itself out of the water like a salmon, crash back in. I'm sure they're not rising for anything. Right, I'll have a few casts at the other side of this old rock pier where the old boat moorings used to be back in the day. There's often a fish or two in there, so I shall see you when I get there. Okay, a few casts in here, and I just laid the flies on the water while I was sorting my reel out there, and the fish took the flies. Oh dear. Talk about not being ready. Right, what I'm going to do is move out to the next bay, around that next point, and just finish off there. Hopefully my voice is going to last out long enough. Right, we'll have a few casts in here. Unfortunately, that's the rain just come on and I don't have a jacket on. Well guys, I am getting wet, so I think I'm going to park up here. Got a few fish. Oh, there's another one. Oh, well, that's made, if I get this one in, that'll be the round half a dozen. So I'll get this fish in, release it, and then just call it a day at that. Quite enjoyable wee session. Finish the day with the smallest fish of the day. That's a real titcher. Yeah, we'll call it a day at that. Thank you very much for watching if you've managed to stick with me this long. Apologies for the dying voice. Been a bit hoarse throughout this, so I hope you've been able to understand what I've been saying. Anyway, we'll call it a day there. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you in the next video, whenever that may be.